Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon from Scar Illustration, and I hope you're keeping well. In this video, I'm going to go through my 5 proven tips for creating your best art in 2025. Stick around until the end, as I have an additional 3 bonus tips to share. Let's dive in. As simple as it may sound, this is really important. Your eyes will get used to how something looks over time, and mistakes will go unnoticed. But once you flip your art, any mistakes that are there will become glaringly obvious. So obvious that you'll wonder why you didn't see them before. With that in mind, I would suggest flipping your art at least every 1 to 2 hours, so you can spot those mistakes faster and avoid having to do any repainting. And you'll also get a fresh perspective on your work. In my experience, in order to get good results with illustrative work, you need as much information as possible. And this means using good reference. Most people are able to recognize fairly quickly if something is off on a painting, be it a face, hands, or a pose, because these are things that most people see on a regular basis. If you're drawing your information simply from imagination, then there will always be gaps in that information, and it will be instantly noticeable. Now, this goes for all styles of art, from photoreal to the most stylized, because it doesn't matter how the piece was finished, you will still need all the info you can get in order to decide what to keep in and what to keep out. The other thing I'd like to mention is to create your own reference wherever possible, rather than relying on images that you found online or in books, etc. Not only will it be much more specific to your piece, but you'll be able to have a lot more control on the information that you have, thereby making the painting process that much easier, rather than having to do a ton of mental math to make it work. I must admit that I've been guilty of this many times in the past, whereby I would focus too much on one area of detail and spend way too much time trying to get an area to look perfect, only to find that when I zoomed out, that it would look odd and unbalanced with the rest of the piece. I found that by zooming in to a maximum of 100%, then I'm forced to not over-detail areas that will more likely be missed by the viewer. As well as that, you'll be able to judge how much detail to really include, so as to balance the painting as a whole. On top of that, the painting process will go much faster, because you're not spending endless hours on details that, in the end, will not add that much to the piece, and as a result, you'll find the process to be more enjoyable as a whole. It's pretty common to feel more pressure when working on a final piece. Unfortunately, this will translate into how the painting will look in the end. The more stressed you are, the less likely the piece will have the energy and flow that perhaps the color sketch had. And you'll end up with something that feels stiff and unappealing. You'll also find that the actual painting experience is nowhere near as enjoyable. I know that this is easier said than done, especially if the piece is for a new client or perhaps for your folio. But it is important to keep this in mind to get the results that you want. Remember to have faith in your abilities and trust the process. Do that and all will be well. Again, this is something that I've definitely ignored in the past. Taking short breaks throughout the painting process is essential. Not only will you get more done in a shorter space of time, but every time you do come back to the painting, you'll have fresh eyes on it. and you'll be able to tackle any issues that much faster. When I was starting out, I thought that this advice was unimportant. For me, it seemed somewhat counterintuitive. But as time has passed, I've come to realize that taking short breaks really does make a difference to the quality of work that I can get done in a specific time frame, and to how long the process takes overall. I think that looking at other artists' work that you admire is invaluable. Not only is it inspiring, but it's also a good way to increase your visual vocabulary. And subconsciously, you'll start to add some of the things that resonated with you into your own work. Saying that, I don't think it's a good idea to spend endless hours comparing your work to others. Every artist is on their own unique journey, and on their own timeline. So I think it's best to think of it as some artists are further along in their journey, and other artists are a bit further down the road, rather than who's better than who. Focus more on your own artistic journey and what you want to achieve with your art, because ultimately, that's the most important thing. I've been caught out on this one a couple of times, whereby I thought I'd finished the painting and set it aside, only to come back to it a day or two later and see that there were a few things that still needed to be tweaked. This tip kind of compounds on my earlier tip about taking breaks. Whenever you finish a painting, there will always be a couple of things that will need extra attention. And to most people, it won't make much difference. But it will to you, because it'll be the difference between feeling confident about your work or feeling kind of ho-hum about the piece. My final tip is to stop trying to do everything, because you'll end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. And just focus on the type of art that you really enjoy creating, because this will come through in your art, and the people that look at it will sense that. Now, this may not always be the work that you really admire, but it's imperative that you do the work that you really love, rather than overextending and trying to do everything. It's kind of like going to a buffet or a restaurant where they have every type of cuisine imaginable. But in the end, none of it is really that appetizing or tastes that great. To me, the most memorable artists are those that focus their energies on what really fires them up, so that they can create their best work. Hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Please consider liking this video and subscribe to my channel. Have a good one, and keep on painting.